there are textbooks about research methods. For example, we have Mugenda and Mugenda, who has written about research methods. We have Kothar, and we have other authors who have written about research methods. So they will advise you, they have given an advice. Which methods can you use? What are the advantages of using that method over the other? So that's what you need to rely on in making decision on which methods you will use. So chapter 3.1 is introduction. As usual, we will give you the chapter introduction. You tell us what we expect to see under chapter 3. So just narrate. Under this chapter, we discuss about research design, population of the study, sample and sampling technique, data collection, validity and reliability, data analysis and presentation, ethical consideration in research study. So those are the subtopics that are within the chapter 3. So now once you have given that introduction, once you have given that introduction, you go to 3.3 or 3.2, which is the research design. Just a minute, Priska. Sorry for disruption. So I had given the introduction. Under introduction, you cover what will be discussed in the study. And then we will go to research design. Do you remember any research design? I know at the introduction part we discussed about various research designs. Priska, do you remember of any? Priska, do you remember of any research design?
I think I've forgotten.
We discussed several types of research. Any type of research?
Okay, I thought I was wondering because I know like we have like survey,
Yes.
secondary data, and case studies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, those are the types of research. Those are the designs that if you tell us you are going to conduct a particular research, you can actually dictate how you are going to collect data, how you are going to analyze that data, and how you are going to present that data. So you tell us about the design you are selecting. And as I've said, when you read those textbooks, they tell you the advantages of using that particular research design. So you tell us according to that particular author, what he advised and what you should do. So for example, because I advised you'll do on factors affecting, a topic on factors affecting, then the most appropriate design will be called descriptive research. And basically for descriptive research, we are interested to answer some question of how, why, what, why is this happening, how is it happening, and for what reason is it happening. So in that case, you can select the descriptive research design. Then 3.3, you talk about population of the study. And now on the population of the study, you define for us what's population, and you pay a lot of emphasis in this part, because I've seen a number of students wouldn't differentiate target population, sample frame, sample size. Are you, for instance, can you define for us target population?
Like for my topic, I'll say target population is the Nairobi City Council. Then like target population would be like the number of employees that will be interviewed. Maybe 300, 100. Yeah. Then I think target is my sample size.
A sample frame.
Sample frame, I'm not sure.
Now, when you talk of target population, are the total number, the total number of population under consideration, that anybody who can be selected. So now, if you are conducting the study in Nairobi City County, then all employees of Nairobi City County becomes your target population. So all of them, anybody you can select, because depending on now the method of sampling, there are chances that you can select, you can use any of them. So that becomes your target population. And it also remains your sample frame. Your target population also become your sample frame that you cannot select. Let's say if Nairobi City County has 5,000 employees, so your target population is 5,000 employees. Now, your sample frame, it also means that even if you are to use census, for example, census means you are considering everybody. You cannot issue out more than 5,000 questionnaires. That you can only issue a maximum of 5,000 questionnaires because that's the number of employees that are there. So in that case, the target population and sample frame is same. Now, from that, then now we'll have a sample size. Now, a sample size is a fraction. It's a fraction from that particular target population. Now, for us to discuss further about the target population, because I will expect you to present the information also on table. Or you will present this information on table. So you give first paragraph just to define what is target population, and you have said that's the all unique persons under consideration, or all employees, or all subjects under consideration for the study. So in this case, if you are considering Nairobi City County, all employees, and then you give that introduction as per a particular author. So tell us if you are defining as per Mugenda and Mugenda or as per Kothar. Then once you have defined, you'll give us table 3.1, of which I'm trying to draw here. So employees, because you are considering employees are categorized in 3 levels of management. Do you remember them?
The top level, middle and lower.
Yes. So we'll have here category, we'll have here top, we'll have here middle, and then we'll have here lower. And then finally we'll have total. So we want to fill in the hypothetical figures on this particular table, because when you go to sample frame or sample size, now we'll require to use this particular information to drive sample. So approximately how many people would you like us to put under top level frequency?
Maybe 10.
So you can put 10. How many under middle level?
Maybe 15.
15.
Or 20.
We'll go with the first figure. And at bottom level?
20.
Yes, okay. We'll go with that figure. But as a researcher, we are also concerned the numbers you give. And this is usually our concern. We look at how realistic the information you are giving us is. Remember, I've mentioned a number of times to be smarter. SMART, which stand for S stand for specific, M stand for measurable, A achievable, R realistic, and T for time bound. So now the information I've given me, yes, as much as hypothetical figure we'll use as the year, but it's not realistic because we have more supervisors than workers. Because the lower level, those are the people who are involved in day-to-day activities. They are always, they must be there to push, to make things move. So if you have them few, and while middle and top level, they are mostly making policies, implementing those policies, and resolving disputes. So most of them are not involved in day-to-day activity. So when you have more members under management and fewer under support staff or lower level, then we have a challenge. But we use it. So total will give us this 45. Huh?
Yes.
45. Okay. So we can compute percentages. To compute percentage for top level, we'll do 10 over 45 times 100. 10 divided by 45 times 100. What do you get?
4.5. 22.2.
So because we are dealing with human beings, we write here 22. We don't have to put their decimals because we are dealing with human beings. The second category, mid-level, it will be 15 divided by 45 times 100.
33.
33. The last one will be 20 over 45. 45 times 100.
44.
44. So right here, 44. So total will come to 100. Then below this table, as I've said, let me erase this. We'll write here. Okay, at the top, we write here table 3.1 target population. Target population. Then below this table, we write source. Where can you get the source information about a number of employees in an organization?
From the county government. From the county council. City hall.
City hall. And specifically in human resource department.
Yes.
Yeah, so we write here HR. Source will be HR, county government of Nairobi. And then in bracket, you're getting this information in 2021. We'll close the bracket. So that's how what we'll expect you to do under target population. So you will first of all define for us what is target population. Then you tell us what you are considering. So this information within that paragraph that you are going to consider employees of Nairobi City County, and there are categories in 3 categories. They have top level, mid level, and lower or bottom level or support staff. Then you give us now the numbers, and then you present the same information on the table the way you have presented. So you have finished about target population or population of the study. Now 3.4, you tell us about sample and sampling technique. So if we have we have such a group of target population, which method are you likely to use to sample to get a sample from this?
Maybe you do questionnaire.
No, questionnaire is data collection. We are not yet there. We are on sampling.
That should be a method of sampling.
Yes, any method of sampling, you know?
They have all disappeared.
So they will surface. So now, if you read Mugenda and Mugenda, he'll advise if you have a target population of below 100, then the most appropriate sampling method should be census. So because in this case we only have 45, then the sampling method will be census. Now, census, it means that you are going to consider everybody within that particular population. But now, imagine if they are beyond that. So for instance, let's multiply all numbers by 10. So that rather than, or okay, we'll use the numbers they are for other methods, but if you have less than 500, less than 100, then the most recommended is a census. And the reason is that there's a bare minimum number of response that you cannot analyze. For example, if we are to take a fraction of this and we take, let's say, 50% of them, we get 25. Automatically, by having that sample of 25, that your research has already collapsed. You cannot progress because you cannot analyze data for less than 30 respondents. And if you have for 25, there's no way you'll get 30 respondents. So, but now for the purpose of illustration, let's assume you have a figure higher than, or you have a figure higher than near 100. Then there's also recommendation that Mugenda and Mugenda has given. For instance, he'll tell you if you have a target population between 100 and 500, then any percentage above 10% can do. Any percentage above 10% can do, as long as still you ensure that your sample size will not go below 30, so that you don't get data that you cannot analyze. So in that case, if you say any percentage beyond 10%, then it means you can select the percentage you like to use. You have freedom as long as you're not selecting any percentage below 10%, then it can be applicable. So when you talk about sample size, you define the sample. The sample, I've said, is a fraction of a whole or a representative. Then sampling technique, you tell us that it's a method that we'll use to select a sample in a way that it will be a representative of a whole. That as much as we are using a fraction, but the information you get from that fraction can represent the whole team, the whole group. So then now tell us the specific method of sampling. So far I've mentioned census as one of the method you can use, because you have categorized our employees or our target population in 3 different categories. Those categories in statistics, we refer to them as strata. So in that case, you can also use stratified sampling. We can also use, depending on the type of study you're conducting, you can also use methods like pinball. For example, if we want to conduct a study and we want to find out factors affecting, let's say, or influencing commercial sex work, it may not be easier to go and get a commercial sex worker who will give you information. But now, if you get one who will be willing to give you information, then you have to ask her to refer you to a next person, to refer to the next person. So in that case, you'll be using pinball. That once you have interviewed one, then you ask her to bring you a friend. So once you interview that particular friend, or you have given a questionnaire she has filled in, you ask her to get you another friend. So they will introduce to you as they know themselves. So in that case, you'll be using pinball. So for this case, let's use stratified sampling. Let's use stratified sampling. And we now for stratified sampling, we'll get a percentage from the whole, and what percentage of the sample do you want us to use? You can give us a percentage that you like us to use.
Should it be among the target population?
Yes.
Like top, middle, lower?
Okay. Now, when you say, let's say, for example, I've said according to Mugenda suggested that you can use from 10% going upwards. So you can select any percentage. You have freedom to choose 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%, but those percentages will also be determined by your target population. For example, if I have 1,000, if my target population is 1,000 and I take 10%, that will be adequate. I will still get 100. But now if your target population is 100, now you cannot select 10% because it will give you 10. Get it? So you have liberty to choose. You can even choose 60%, 70%, 80%, 90%. So you have liberty to choose any percentage from it. Then you'll also come up with a table. So now this will be table 3.2. And it's called sample size. Sample size. So on this table, we still have category. And our category was top. Our category was top, middle, and support staff. Something else to mention, a number of students also do confuse when you talk of support staff. Some of you interpret support staff to mean subordinate staff. It's very wrong. Support staff does not necessarily mean subordinate staff. And for instance, if we were to talk, let's say if we take a scenario like in a bank. In a bank, we'll have branch manager and probably we'll have assistant branch managers. So in that case, those two will form the top level management. Then below the branch manager, we'll have the supervisors or head of departments. So those will form the middle level management. Then we'll have the clerical clerks. And so those will form the support staff. Then if the bank could be having their own cleaners or whatever, so those can be categorized separately, but most of them will find their outsourced services. So when you talk of support staff, does not necessarily mean we are talking about subordinate staff. So which percentage have you selected we use from the target population you have? Frequency. So top level we had 10, middle level we had 15, then support staff we had 20. Total was 45. So let's use, for purpose of illustration, let's use 90%. So we'll have here sample size. Sample, and I've said we'll use 90%. Then we'll have here percentage. So we have drawn the table. So we want to fill in. So who'll get us 90% of 10? because we are using 90%, then every category we are going to get 90%, so that we are getting a fraction of the whole in a way that it can represent all of them, so that we don't take it that because it's easier to get support staff, and then we want to give them highest priority. So we want to give them give a higher number for support staff. Remember, the information we get from support staff and the information we get from top management is totally different. In terms of perception, in terms of experience, in terms of quality of information, is totally different. So in that case, we have to get that new fraction consistently for all the 3 levels of management. So from top level, we want to get 90%. We'll get us 90% of 10.
That would be 9.
9. Thank you. Middle level, 90% of 15.
$13.5.
Yeah, 13.5.
Yes.
That's how. And because we are using human beings, we round off. We will round off, so we will not have 13.4. We cannot have a 0.5 of a person.
14.
So we'll round off to 14. 9%, 90% of 20.
18.
18. So we add that to get the total. 9 plus 14 plus 18.
41.
41. So our sample size will be 41. Then after that, we get the percentages. So to get the percentage, we do 9 divided by 41 times 100. 9 divided by 41 times 100.
It will be 21.
No, give us the full figure. It's
21.995.
Yes, so if you round off,
22.
22. So you write here 22. Next, 14.
34.
Yeah.
34.
34. Next.
18.
18%.
Yeah.
So, it can't be 18%. 18 divided by 41 cannot be 18%. Get us the percentage.
It's 44.
44. So when you add, it will give you 100%. So fill in 100%. Just a minute, I see somebody who is stranded. So We progress. Now we have presented sample size. So you go to the next one. That's 3.5. 3.5 is data collection. And data collection is divided into two. One, we have 3.5.1 instrumentation. Instrumentation. Now, for us to discuss that, let's first of all look at it. Methods of data collection that you know of. Who can tell us methods of data collection you know of? Anne? Anne, which method of data collection do you know?
You have primary and secondary.
Okay, yes, those are major classification. That's major classification of methods of data collection. But now we want to look at the methods themselves.
The questionnaires.
We have questionnaire, that's one of them. Drusilla? Drusilla, I can see you are you have unmuted. You want to tell us? Okay, Priska, another method?
Of questionnaire.
Methods of data collection. Yeah, other than questionnaire has been mentioned. Another method?
Okay.
A case study.
Interviews.
Interview. Okay. Anne has mentioned case study. Another? Observation.
Observation. What about group?
Yes, we have group discussion.
Surveys and records.
Yes, we have surveys. Then we have records. Now, I'll take you through the documentation. Because 3.5.1, we have to discuss about instrumentation. That if at all we are going to use, let's say, questionnaire. Questionnaire is a method of data collection, and questionnaire is also an instrument of data collection. So if you are using questionnaire, and then you tell us about the instrumentation, you tell us you are going to use questionnaire as a method of data collection, and in that case, you're also going to use a questionnaire as an instrument to collect data. Now, and then you'll define for us what a questionnaire is and why you prefer to use questionnaire over any other instrument or any other method of data collection. Now, in event you want to collect data using interview, then you must come up with the interview guide. Remember, if I asked, let's say, if I was to collect data, then I'm collecting data about effect of corona on employment or effect of corona on in the public. Then I went to Priska and ask you if Priska, let's say, is employed. Then I go to Anne and ask if Anne is doing business. Then I went to Drusilla and asked Drusilla if she's practicing farming. Remember, I've asked everybody different questions. So in that case, everybody will give me different answers because depending on the question I've given. So I must be consistent that if I'm asking about employment, then I must ask all of you about employment so that you give me your answers and then I can analyze it. But if I ask different questions, then it means even analysis will be difficult. How am I going to analyze? And each one of you have asked a different question. Get it? So in that perspective, we must prepare an interview guide if you are going to use an interview as a method of data collection. If you are going to use observation as a method of data collection, then you must prepare observation checklist. What are we going to look at? Sorry. So we are going to an organization, we want to check out, to observe how the employees are working, if there's teamwork, if there's cohesion, then in that case, we have to prepare a checklist. What are we going to confirm? What do we see? If we see happening, then we can actually tell there's cohesion in this particular team. If we don't see, then there's no cohesion. So we must prepare that checklist that will guide us to come and evaluate and see how people are within that particular organization. So once we have we have made it clear that anybody who comes, or that's the whatever you are going to check at, then that's the instrument. In the event we are going to use data, that we are going to use secondary data, we are going to look at the registers, we are going to look at the documents, then we must also come up with a checklist. What are we going to look at those records? What are we going to look at those particular information for us to assess and say if at all you have met the expectation, or those documents can assist us to analyze data. So now those instruments will guide you when it comes to analysis. Because if you don't have those consistent instruments, then you are going to collect different data from different quarters. Then assembling that data and analyzing and coming up with the report becomes very technical part. Now, if at all, because majority of you, I would recommend you will use questionnaire as a method of data collection. Then for questionnaire, it's usually segmented into two. You have two sets of questions that you can ask. We have close-ended questions or structured questions, depending on the books you are using. So if we are using, let's say, CHRP, we refer to them as a structured question. Mugenda and Mugenda, we refer to it as a close-ended questions. That those questions that have multiple choices. For example, if we are researching on factors affecting, let's say, employee productivity, then we are considering organization culture as one of the factors. So we can ask, does organization culture affect employee productivity? So such a question has two multiple choices. The respondent can only say yes or can say no. So, so in that case, we refer to it as close-ended because the respondent does not have the ambience to choose on what to respond on. Then, other than that, we'll also have a Likert scale. A Likert scale, that's where a question that requires an employee to rate or the respondent to rate. To what extent does organization culture affect employee productivity? So we can say to very great extent, moderate extent, low extent, or no effect. Employee organization culture has no effect on employee productivity. So now we let the respondent to choose from those particular parts. Then we'll also give a respondent an ambience to give us some of the information or on an open-ended question. So you'll ask, explain your answer. So in that case, that question, explain your answer, because it's an open-ended or unstructured, in that everybody will give different reasons. Everybody will give different reasons. So we will have to read and evaluate and get the findings. Now, how helpful are those two sets of questions? If you have asked open-ended, closed-ended question, or those who we have referred as structured questions, then they will assist you to analyze your data. The data you are going to present in terms of pie charts, bar graphs, tables, and whatever, you'll use those particular questions to analyze them and present in that format. That we refer to them as quantitative data. In that case, you will have collected quantitative data. You are only concerned about numbers. You are only concerned about how many have said yes and how many have said no. So in that case, you are concerned about quantitative, what you can convert in numbers. Then for the open-ended question, we refer to it as qualitative data. So you may not analyze it and present it as it is, but now it will assist you when you are making the conclusion. Sorry. Sorry. So when you are making conclusion and recommendation, then those open-ended questions will become very instrumental. You can use them now to conclude your particular work. So we have talked about data collection, and in data collection we have talked about instrumentation and also data collection procedure. Now, just to mention about procedure, there are several ways you can conduct data. There's what we refer as self-administered questionnaires. For example, if you are using questionnaire as I've recommended, we have self-administered questionnaire. And because at your level we anticipate you don't have much work, and that's why we usually insist that you conduct the study where you are working, so that it's easier for you to administer those questionnaires. So you can imagine if you are to collect data in a different organization, and the collection of that data is not an easier task. Usually you go to an organization, they don't support students or whatever. So where you are working, it's easier because you can easily influence your colleagues. So we have the self-administered questionnaires or self-administered interview. In that case, if you are using interview, you are the one who is going to conduct the interview. Then we also have a scenario where you can use research assistants. But now, for those who are conducting research at the level of PhD, they are allowed now to use the research assistant, because most of them are very busy persons within the society. They are senior within the several organizations, so they are allowed, and they also have several people whom they have trained, and they can use them to collect data on their behalf. So you can use research assistants. So for research assistants, these are people that are going to assist you to collect data and analyze that particular data, and also get you the information, of course, at a fee. You are going to pay them. It's an employment like any other. So you talk about how you are going to collect data. So I've recommended you use self-administered questionnaire. And if you read that Mugenda and Mugenda, she'll in the book, The Advocate for Self-Administered, they tell you the response is likely, you are likely to get higher response than if you used any other mechanism. Because if you are administering the questionnaire, you can also, you first of all, you have gone there, you have created a rapport, then you know what you are intending to. So in that case, it's easier for you to collect that particular high data than if you send someone who is not even linked to your particular research. Yeah. So, and when you're collecting back the questionnaire, remember, you should not collect less than 90% of your sample size. So if you have a sample size like what you have 41, then we should collect not less than 90% of those. So if you collect less than 90%, then you have not put in much effort to collect that particular data. So let's look at 3.6. 3.6 talking about validity and reliability. That first of all, we have an instrument that we are going to use to collect data. Then is that instrument valid? Is that instrument reliable? And to ascertain validity and reliability of an instrument, there are various mechanisms that we do use. One is to conduct a pilot study, that we can prepare a questionnaire. Then if we are conducting a study, let's say in Nairobi City County, then we can go to another county, let's say Kiambu County. So we cannot conduct a pilot study within the same organization we're going to conduct the main study. So we can go to another organization like now Kiambu County and administer, let's say 5 or 10 questionnaires. And the main reason, because we are conducting case study, we want to observe how are they going to struggle. Are they struggling to fill in that particular questionnaire? Or are some of the questions, do they require a lot of interpretation of some of the questions? If at all they consistently ask for interpretation of some of the questions, then it means our questionnaire is not well structured, that it has a lot of ambiguity, and when we administer, then our respondents are not likely to respond appropriately. So in that case, we will go back and review those particular questionnaires so that we simplify as much as possible those questions, that it's easier for our respondents to respond in. The second way we can also confirm validity and reliability is discussion with the experts. Now, for this case, you have been assigned a supervisor. Your supervisor is an expert in that particular area. So when you go with that questionnaire, he can actually tell if it is going to assist you or not assist you. And over a number of period of time, we have seen there's a student who will formulate a questionnaire that is not even related to his or her study. For example, we are conducting a study on factors affecting employee productivity in Nairobi City County. And when you are writing your proposal, the way you have structured your variables, you have used, let's say, government policy, you have used motivation, salary, and all that as some of the variables that affect employee productivity. But now you'll find that when you are submitting a questionnaire, some of you have just downloaded a questionnaire from internet, and which does not even ask anything concerning productivity, and it's also not concerning those variables that you are considering in your study. So in that case, your supervisor will guide you through and make sure that you have as aligned your questionnaire. Yes, Drusilla, you want to say something?
Just following. No, I'm okay.
Okay. No. That's how. So when you discuss with your expert, which is your supervisor, he will assist you to get to paraphrase or to frame those questionnaires in a way that it can assist you to collect that particular data. The third way we also ensure validity and reliability is if we adopt a questionnaire that has already been used. For example, if at all I've done a research in factors affecting employee productivity in Nairobi City County, if someone else would like to conduct a similar study or more or less similar study in another county like Kirinyaga County, then he can still adopt whatever I've used, the instrument I've used. So if you adopt the instrument I've used, then he doesn't have, even if he doesn't discuss with the expert or he doesn't do a case study, a pilot study, but still that instrument is valid because he will cite that it has been used in Nairobi County and it gave that particular reason. Then 3.7, now we'll talk about data analysis and presentation. How are you going to analyze your data? And I've given a brief about how you are going to analyze data. That if you are going to use questionnaire, the questionnaire has two sections. We'll have the open-ended questions and we'll also have the closed-ended questions. So in that case, the open-ended questions you are going to, the closed-ended questions you are going to analyze using the quantitative data that you are going to analyze, okay, in quantitative terms. You get it? How many have said yes, how many have said no, what percentage of people have said yes, what percentage have said no. So in that case, that's how you are going to analyze. Now, when you are presenting data, there are three ways you are going to present data, specifically the quantitative data. First, you will present via texts. You present via text. Text, it means you are just an explanation of the data, how you have found out. For example, I asked factors affecting employee productivity, and one of them I was considering is wage. Then, let's say 70% of the respondents said yes, wage affect productivity. 30% said no. So in that case, I will write an explanation that from the study, we have found out that 70% agree that actually wage affect productivity, while 30% did not agree that wage affect productivity. So that presentation of such statement is what we are referring as a text format. Then the second way you can present is through table. You can draw a table. For instance, you have drawn the table we have drawn here, table 3.2 and table 3.1. So that's a table. And so you can also present the information in terms of table. The third way you can present the data is through figures. And when you talk of figures, we are talking about pie charts, bar graph, histograms. Those are the figures that we use to present research study, research information. So you tell us how you are going to present. So you tell us how you are going to present, and you also tell us about the author who recommended you to present. And for instance, if you are doing any question that has two multiple choices, you'll have to present that information on a table. First of all, you present it on a table. So for instance, if you are asking about gender, how many are male, how many are female? So we'll first of all present that information on a table. Then after a table, we'll present the same information on a pie chart. Then after pie chart, we'll do that now, the explanation of that particular two ways of presentation of information. But if you have where multiple choices are more than 2, that means 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you present that information still on the table. First of all, you present on the table, then you present on the figure, but in this case, we'll use bar graph or histogram, so we'll not use pie chart. So don't use pie chart where the comparison is more than 2. So if there are 3, you don't use pie charts. Then after that, you'll also do an explanation. Yeah. So let's look at ethical consideration in a research study. That as a researcher, you must assure us that you are going to uphold the highest level of integrity. Now, to assure us that you are going to uphold highest level of integrity, then you have to identify the parties that will be involved in your study. Now, those parties include respondents, those people who are going to give you the information. How are you going to treat them? How are you going to treat them in a way that they'll feel you are upholding high ethical standards? That you are going to get the information in level of highest confidence. That you are not going to disclose. For example, if you are conducting a study about Kenya Institute of Management, and you are considering factors affecting employee productivity, then you ask a question about salary. If at all I give you the information, then you take to my management that he has said you are not paying adequate salary, then I can be victimized over that. So in that case, you have to assure me that you are going to uphold highest level of integrity, and you are also not going to disclose my identity. So in that case, you can assure us that even those questionnaires will not require a respondent to disclose their identity. Then you can also tell us that you are going to distribute those questionnaires. Then you let them fill in. Then you can come back and collect them later, so that you don't know who has said what. So they can fill in and put in a particular place, a particular box. So you just go and get there your questionnaires. So you cannot say who said what and who. You cannot link that information to a particular respondent. So in that case, you are assuring them of their security or of their confidence. And then number 2, you also have to tell us, okay, another party that will be involved. For example, if you are going to use the research assistant, but now in your case, I've said you will not use research assistant. But if at all you have to use research assistant, then you also tell us that first of all, you are going to train them adequately about your study, so that they understand why you are conducting that particular study. Then you are also going to pay them adequately, that you are not going to pay them as per the work that they have done. So for instance, you can agree that you will pay them per questionnaire field. Once they bring in the questionnaires, you pay them per questionnaire field. Or if at all the respondent come from different locations, that it may be technical for them to fill in several questionnaires, then you are going to pay them as per a number of places they have visited, or as per the days that they have worked, and you are going to pay them adequately. So other than that, you also have to assure the management. For example, if you conduct a study within Nairobi City County, and the first thing we see, once you have collected data, you have analyzed, you have come up with a report, then we see breaking news on Citizen TV or breaking news on NTV, then we see you presenting that information through media. So in that case, you will not have upheld your ethical standards. You will not have upheld your integrity. So once you have conducted the study, first of all, if you want to release, you can give back to Nairobi City County a report. Then once you have given the report, it's upon Nairobi City County to make a decision either to disclose to the media or to handle it as an internal control document. Then in some instances, you'll also be sponsored. You could have been sponsored by your organization to conduct a study. So you also tell us how we are going to assure the sponsor that you are going to uphold high ethical standards. So in that case, you can talk of you are going to ensure that you to account for every penny that they have given you. then you are also going to ensure that you prepare a report according to the research you have conducted, the data you have collected and analyzed, and you are not going to cook data. For example, we have given you, we have financed you to go and collect data and present a report to us. Then you go and see, you consume those monies, you sit at a particular place, and then you start imagining that this could have said yes, this could have said no. Then you come up with a report without necessarily having gone to the field to collect data. So you have to assure the sponsor that such things are not going to happen. So that's all about chapter 3. And chapter 3 marks the end of our research proposal. So chapter 3 marks the end of research proposal. Now, once you have prepared the research proposal, then we'll go to supplementary pages. Now, in supplementary pages, the first page under supplementary pages will have list of reference. We'll have list of reference. Now, on list of reference, you have cited several authors in your document, so you have to acknowledge those authors and what they have, you to acknowledge them. So you have to tell us the full details. You have talked about Mugenda and Mugenda. What's the title of the book she wrote? What's the title of which year was the book published? Who published that? Who was the publisher for that particular book? So in that case, you are giving us the reference there, so that if I want to read much about that particular book, as much as in your document I've seen you have cited Mugenda and Mugenda, I can actually now get the full details of that particular book and read. So ensure that all authors that you have cited in your work are on the list of reference. It's not a fraction. Don't get a fraction, then say that's a representative of the others. You have to include 100% of all reference. Then other than that, you'll have appendix 1. Now for the purpose of proposal, your appendix 1 will be questionnaire. Your appendix 1 will be questionnaire. So you have to prepare a questionnaire that will assist you to conduct the study. Then appendix 2 will be your budget. How much money do you anticipate to spend on that particular research study? So then appendix 3 will be your schedule, time schedule. So how long would you anticipate to conduct that particular research study? Remember, you must plan, because, okay, for proposal, you are requesting us to give you permission to go and conduct the study. So as you are asking us to give you permission to conduct the study, then you must have planned what are you going to do, how are you going to do, how are you going to conduct this particular study. So in that case, that's why you have to give us the time schedule. If we give you an okay, how long will it take you to collect data, to distribute questionnaires? How long will it take you to collect those questionnaires back? How long will it take you to analyze those questionnaires, to sort out those questionnaires, analyze the information there? Then after analyzing, come up with the reports. So you have to tell us how long that is going to take you, so that we also, as we give you authority, we can actually tell you if it's realistic or not realistic. So that's what you need to have to. So once you have that particular document with those content, then you can be given a letter of authorization. You can be permitted to conduct now the research study. Yes. So when you are writing the proposal, there's something else you need to remember. We usually write them in future tense. The study will cover this. The researcher will adopt this. So you have to write in future tense, because that's what you intend to do. So if you come with a proposal and I check on it, and then I see you have written in past tense, then it means you have not written that particular proposal. You are probably editing. You have presented a part of a report and to get the authorization. So in that case, for proposal must be in future tense. Any question up to that end? Any question up to that end? Priscilla. Priska Malo.
For me, I don't have any question. I think it's a matter of going to work on this now.
Okay, thank you. Wanjiru Mugo.
No questions.
Okay. Drusilla Nyamisa. Drusilla Nyamisa. Anne Mararo. Anne.
I'm okay. I'm okay.
Okay. So if you don't have a question, I'll ask you a question, and I'll keep on asking you the question until we conclude. Priska, have you sought permission, approval for your topic?
Yeah, it's been approved and I'm going on.
You're going on. That's good. Wanjiru Mugo.
I am the one who called you yesterday for the approvals, but I've not sent. I'll be sending them today.
Okay, but remember you promised you will sort permission on Monday.
Yes.
By Monday, you are to get approval by Monday last week.
Last week, but but I couldn't get the other supervisor. I had a challenge, so the supervisor has been changed now to you.
Yes, I'm putting much effort because there's no much time left, and you can get stuck.
All right.
Drusilla, have you sought permission for your topic, approval of your topic? Are you around, Drusilla? Since Drusilla is not there. And
I've tried to get my supervisor.
Yeah.
I talked to him, then he was saying he's not aware of that. No, I don't know how to go about it.
You contact the course coordinator, he'll assist you.
Okay.
You have the number for course coordinator?
No.
Madam Elizabeth?
No, I don't have her number. Now it says I check from the group.
Okay, check from the group.
Or you have it, you can give me.
Yeah.
And if you do an email to Elizabeth, she will give you a new supervisor. That's what I did.
Oh, a new supervisor.
Yes.
Okay, I'll talk to her then.
The
email is at Kim. Oh?
Yes, Elizabeth at Kim. The same email that you just respond to the email where she gave us the list of the supervisors.
Oh, the list of the supervisors.
Yes, you'll get her email address and now just communicate to her, not to everyone.
Okay, so because I had a topic. Now I don't know if I can share it with you, Madam, while I get to
Now, okay, in research, we have something we refer to as a hypothesis. Hypothesis is a researcher's anticipated opinion. So my opinion and probably the opinion of your supervisor somehow could not be same. So if at all I start looking at your topic and you'll be assigned a different supervisor, then we might create some conflict. Nimekwambia iko sawa, and then you go there anakwambia badilisha hapa, so you start looking, kwani mbona huyu amekwambia hivi na so that's why it's good once you've been assigned as supervisor, now you get in touch with him or her to guide you through.
Okay, thank you, Mwalim. Let me do that today. Then I'll get back to you on Monday. We see whether I've gotten another supervisor or I'm still confused because I was given Anthony. Mr. Anthony, that was my supervisor. I called him, I told him I was allocated to him. I wanted to send the topic. He told me he is not aware of that. Then he was asking me who told me that he's the one I'm supposed to be under him. I told him we were sent for a list and I was given his number. Now I was just hanging.
So don't get hanging. So you can utilize before probably you get to the next class. You can send Elizabeth the mail. I know she's active because she's also supervising the classes. So she will respond in due course so that by Monday your topic should be approved. if the risk of waiting till last minute, at times you start fabricating somebody's work so that you fit in and submit, and that in that case it brings okay, at times it affects students because you once you submit to HRMPEB, then if they realize there's a lot of copy pasting, then you'll automatically get a supplementary, which is not fair. So with that much, if anyone has a question, you can ask. Today we'll adjourn at this point because we have covered whatever we have covered. So when we meet next week, I'll take you through now our research report. Now with our research report, you remember it still starts from chapter 1, but it has addition of chapter 4 and chapter 5. And because you have paid a lot of emphasis discussing chapter 1, discussing chapter 2, discussing chapter 3. Now, when you discuss about report, I'll only introduce what you need to change from chapter 1 so that it reflects a report. What you need to change on the preliminary pages so that it reflects a report. What you need to change on the chapter 3 so that it reflects a report. Then now we'll give much emphasis on discussion about chapter 4, which is findings, research findings. So unless if there's a question that I can entertain, if there's none, I can wish you a nice weekend. Let's meet next Saturday, God willing.
Okay. Nice weekend, Mwalimu. Are we going to meet on the same platform next Saturday?
Yes, because the numbers has increased because when they closed the physical learning, a number of students enrolled for online learning. So the other, the new we have been using, the big blue button, has a challenge. If we all of us have to log in, we find it has a challenge. That's why last week we couldn't have a meaningful class. Either it's logging you out or it doesn't have sound. So this is an additional, so we'll use this.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome.
Nice weekend.
Same to you.